preference towards men coming to you or women, or are you getting both? Just being like obviously a female dominatrix, are you finding then men are more attracted to that service with you, or do you just get them all?
When it comes to the extended prison scenarios, I've only really had men interested, but in terms of sessions, it's really everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
So,
Do you work with universities,
yeah.
Eva? Because I'm sure they'd love to have access to the sort of things you're doing to people psychologically that they can't get through on the, when psych studies need a board approval, like this is not ethical because you can't get people to agree. And you go, actually, I have all these people agreeing. Do you want? The data would be fascinating.
Welcome to Swapping Secrets. My name is Jess.
And I'm Lawrence.
And if you guys haven't already, please don't forget to spank that subscribe button. But let's dive in deep to today's topic.
Today's topic is erotic power and body confidence with a lovely guest we'll get to in a moment. In this episode, we'll dive deep into erotic empowerment. We unpack how shame, conditioning, and social expectations shape the way we experience desire and how we break free from it. That's the key there. It's just like, I want to break free. Okay. Whether you're curious about kinks, struggling with body image, or just want to feel more confident in your sexuality, this one will hopefully shift your perspective. Our guest today is Eva Oh.
Look how you look at me.
Yeah.
We have the gorgeous Eva who has joined us from Thailand. She's recently just moved there, which is
Sabadi, mate.
amazing. But did you want to do the intro for us?
Okay, Eva is an internationally recognized dominatrix, somatic practitioner, and sex educator known for her work in body reclamation, erotic power, and conscious kink. Through her workshops, retreats, and coaching, she helps people connect with their bodies, dismantle shame, and step into empowered pleasure for self and self-expression.
That was a mouthful. Did you feel it?
I did feel it.
You did
Felt
feel
good.
it?
I like those words. I like those words and the order of them, which is good.
It is. But
Welcome, Eva.
yes.
Hi, thank you for having me. I guess just first up, who wrote the somatic practitioner part?
That would be our Gabe,
That-
our producer.
That would be me. I take some liberties with these.
I mean, maybe, but unofficially. I like that. We can talk about that.
We can add that to your titles. It's fine. I think it's well fitted.
A somprac. Like, we got to abbreviate it too. Like.
I'll be taking some of those royalties, Eva. Okay.
Let's dive in deep and start with the most basic.
Diving deep and start with basic.
Well, like, before we get too deep, let's start with the basic and then get deeper and deeper. Give us a little bit of background on your story.
My story. How far back do we want to go?
Oh, I don't know. How
Conception.
how much time do we have? Let's do it.
Let's start getting all the data. Let's look at conception. Does that make a difference?
I guess we can start with where you started, which was the dominatrix part.
Yeah.
And that started in 2011 in Sydney, of all places. Yeah. And I was in the middle of my first really big contract as a strategic consultant, and I hated it. And so I Googled this word that an ex of mine had mentioned might suit me. And I found a dungeon in Sydney, and I went in, and from day one, I kind of understood that it was a space that I had been craving.
Nice.
So like a duck to water in that instance.
Like a duck to water.
To water.
And so that's how you discovered the profession. And yeah, from there, what happened?
And stepped in. And from there, it's been chaotic, even if it doesn't look like it has been. But it's been a huge process of understanding what the erotic entails, how that lives in other people, how that lives in me, how that lives in society, and navigating all of those things whilst trying to make a living, basically. And it's taken me pretty much all continents of the world. I have slaves pretty much everywhere now. I now only session once or twice a month as opposed to 8 times a day like back in the day.
Wow.
I have other things kind of going on. I think I do this partially because maybe that's how I like things to evolve, as well as just to keep myself interested. But now I have a mentorship platform for other people who aren't necessarily only interested in becoming a dominatrix, but who are interested in what I'm about and how that can be for them. And I also do a lot of interviews in the hopes of spreading the good word, good kinky word.
Amen, sister.
And and yeah, I have a few other things here and there that I'm sometimes allowed to talk about, not yet.
Yeah. So shifting to the mentorship stuff, how's that going? Like,
Mm.
what made you want to start doing that over offering a dominatrix service, or
Mm.
a relationship sort of per se in that lifestyle?
Yeah, so I do have the things that I have with clients or subs that can look like relationships. And then with the mentorship stuff, it's mostly with, I would say, kink community and a lot of women
Mm.
also, and how they are looking separately. So I'll concentrate on the community first. That kind of came about because everybody was always asking me how I did what I did, and I kind of got sick of saying the same thing over and over again. And it started off with a document that just kind of talked about my work, and then it evolved into calls, which I still do. And then now it's a Patreon platform where everyone talks to each other. I do live Q&As every month, and I find it personally very rewarding. I kind of feel like when you reach a limit of knowledge, to hoard it feels very strange to me. And
Mm.
so it's kind of like letting that saturation out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's liberating to be able to help pave a path for somebody else to not
Yeah.
say take over in your footsteps, but to have their own little footstep journey and continue their path
Mm.
to success.
Yeah. And there's just so many mistakes to be made.
Yeah, they're our
And it's just
favorite. You
nice
learn from
to,
those.
yeah, but it's also nice to be able to share mine so that they don't have to be repeated as badly, hopefully.
Yeah. Reduce the trauma.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
On that, in the workshops that you do and all the stuff that you're a practitioner on is about reclaiming your body, unlearning shame. Can we talk a bit about like shame, how it impacts us, the disconnection that it can cause in your experience and your pleasure, and
Mm.
the where it might come from?
Okay. So I think that I've been very lucky not to hold much of it. And I think that comes from coming from a very mixed background. And we traveled a lot ever since I was very small. And so I kind of understood very quickly that there wasn't one way of existing because there were so many contradictions between cultures and they all operated,
Mm.
I was going to say fine, but operated.
They get by.
Yeah. And so I was lucky not to carry that stepping into the dungeon. But I think working so intimately with people, I quickly saw that they carried something heavy with them into that room and they had to return to it when they left it. And I think that's when I first started to see that layer of who people were versus who they thought that they should be and the tension that that kind of caused, which is shame. Yeah. This fear of not being a part of a community. And I think that that's where the friction turns into what we call shame. But in terms of the space that I get to hold and that they shed, I think that there's something in the fact that I don't hold it and therefore I don't judge, and you can't see that judgment on me that kind of really melts it away very quickly. And I think that when they do that with me repeatedly, and there's an integration in how it's going, how you're feeling with that, you need to find community, you need to not be alone in this desire. I think that an integration can happen quite gradually. But what was the initial sort of question? And was there something in particular that you wanted to hear from that whole process?
Yeah,
Because
it's just
it's a huge untangling of
yeah,
many
yeah.
things.
There are big topics. It's just about how the shame can disconnect people from pleasure, I suppose, in that moment or in any given moment where you know, they might be wrestling with, I mean, we speak about this a lot on the podcast, where people, especially in the E&M world here for us, is like maybe at the club where people might come and the idea of doing XYZ with whoever is great in your head, but then once you do it, you might feel like, oh, now I'm this person. Am I this, like, whatever? And and so it's like, this is not how I'm supposed to be. I'm blah 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 person, and this makes me this like, you know. And I think it's that would obviously disconnect you from just experiencing the pleasure in that moment, or even how you might feel about it afterwards. It's like you might have had a great time in the moment, and then but that in itself brings you shame. It's like, why did I enjoy that so much?
And sometimes people enjoy feeling ashamed.
Yeah, I was going to be like, you must see
which is another layer.
Yeah, like you must see such a wide range of characteristics in people where shame might be their kink or their fantasy that they want to fulfill or live. But then you might also get those people that come to you with not at the element of feeling shame just yet, but getting to that kind of negative space. Are you finding now that you've got your mentorship that you're being able to navigate people through, I guess, positive experiences, or even just out of their way so they don't have to relate shame into any of their experiences?
So I guess two things, like within the mentorship community, I think that people don't vocalize so much. There's this thing that I feel really ashamed about. There's something about female power that is a little bit of a pattern that people feel like they can't step into. But I think the fact that they see a community and they're within a community kind of dissipates that burden to them. But I think if we're talking about one-on-one things, to me, I don't see it as just this concept of this heavy feeling of like dismay, this is shame. I see it as like I mentioned, as this fear of rejection from society and really wanting a space and wanting to be able to connect. And I think that that is a reframing that people need to understand about what it is that they're feeling. It's not just this singular heaviness. It's their hope to fit in. It's their hope to be one with somebody else and be a cohesive thing. And it's what they've been told is a feeling of belonging is by being a certain way. And that I think that for me, I didn't feel shame, but I did feel a disconnect, you know, as a sex worker. And how do I talk about this? How do I say this? Do I say this right now? How do I connect with people? Is this going to make them feel a certain way? And so that's been my process of learning what that weight sort of feels like. And I think education is a huge part of it. I think community is a huge part of it. I think breaking it down to not just say it's this heaviness, it's this regret. It's your hope for connection. It's your hope for being there for other people and them being there for you, you know. And I think that
Definitely, I
can dissipate it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I empathize with that sentiment of like, you know, we've talked about this in parenting podcasts about, you know, when Jess and I inevitably have to talk about what we do for a living to other parents, because, you know, we've got young children, and when they start going to school, and we're in very different communities, or having to be a part of these communities that may not necessarily accept us or what we do. And that is actually a concern of mine, especially as it's like, man, how is this conversation? Like, I don't want my son to be impacted because of what I do. But eventually it's going to come out, and how do I broach this? And I do have that fear of being, I suppose, ostracized from that community, even though I may not necessarily care for myself. It's just, it's the transfer of care for him. So yeah, it's just that, yeah, I get, that makes sense to me in terms of it's the belonging to a community, that sense of having a support and something like that.
And there's an additional layer there because it's another human, and there's eventually not much that you can do to control the experience of your son, right? And so it's also a sense of a loss of control. We're turning this into like a session.
So sit back in your therapy chair, Lawrence. We're going to give you a therapy session right now.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Let's go.
Bit of twisting.
Lie down on the bed.
Yeah.
What are some of like on the types of sessions that you do and the workshops you do? Can you give us like teasers of like what are the topics that you might cover or the themes that you might cover? What's most popular? So what it is that you do?
I prefer a much more loose thing. I'm sure people would love to package it into workshops, and they do. And then I kind of tack myself on. They're like, "Can you do this?" Yeah, I'm like, "Create it, and I'll come on." But with my own stuff, I prefer to let folks lead where they want me to go rather than tell them
Okay.
exactly where they need to go. Yeah. And so I mostly do live Q&As with my group, and what we're talking about is dictated by the themes that they are concerned with. And a lot of the times it's actually, maybe they wouldn't say this, but it's often about survival. It's about how do I build resilience and exist in the world that is so difficult. I think that's probably people's main concern. And that comes out in all sorts of questions. And in how do I navigate this difficult thing around money or self-worth or holding space. It's a lot of how do I deal with the difficulty that is life. Yeah,
Yeah.
more than anything else, I think.
Damn. That's
Yeah.
that's tough.
So you do your Q&As like once a month, right, on Patreon? How many people would you get on that? I'm so curious because we've only just got ourselves into Patreon. So I'm very curious to know more about the world of that.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple hundred in there at the moment, and then every week every episode gets a few hundred watchbacks, so I don't know what people are doing like in their own time also, because I keep all the recordings up. Yeah. And then we're discussing things also in the Discord chat. So it depends, it's up to you how you want to run spaces. I'm more of a let's just see what emerges and I'll follow that kind of a person.
And then on topics, like you obviously branch between a lot of topics in your Q&As. Do you, so you obviously cover it off owning your own desires without having any sort of apology towards it, like owning your wants and your needs. What does erotic power mean beyond just sex to you?
Oh, I think it's something that you hold even in a room on your own. I don't think it's something that needs anybody else around, to be frank. I think it can highlight what that looks like. But what is erotic power? I believe that it's just a sense of ease in the totality of who you are, who you know who you are, and who you may not be. I think it's an ease with the unknown and knowing that there's immense possibility. And I think that comes out in a confidence around the erotic, around how actionable you can be, around how assertive you can be. Yeah, I think it's like a foundational thing that then kind of comes out and translates into how comfortable you are with somebody in that space or with yourself in that space. It's an ease.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, you have it, you have that beautiful confidence, but what's something like to help people who kind of lack that confidence, who can't turn that switch on or just have that aura to them to be able to feel A, comfortable in their own shoes, or B, just own a room. Like I've watched some of your podcast or some of your reels before, and it's like you can see you have that ease to it. What's some little tips you can give those people who are struggling to be like, but I want it, but I don't know how to get it?
I think if I'm going to do little tips, it's more like tricks that are going to help you trick yourself into a space. But I think like the thing that helped me the most, because it's not like I knew exactly what to do at all times. It's a practiced habit, you know, like I found my market and I really milked it, basically. You know, like I I always had a natural proclivity to giving instruction, which is why my ex suggested that as a joke, you know, and I found femdom, which I didn't know existed, female dominance, and then I just practiced it over and over again until it just became like of course, this is how I am navigating the world now. It's a really quite a long process of getting it deep inside of you. But I think that if it's going to be like, there is one thing that I always actually repeat for those who are just starting to session and they're not feeling comfortable about holding space. And I think it's something that anybody can do in their own lives, even when they're not doing a professional dominatrix session. I think that having the advantage of knowing the room that you're in before somebody else, or knowing the timing of something before somebody else knows, I think having an advantage, like a physical, spatial time advantage, actually can show you that you can have control over a space, and puts them in a way that they have to immediately respond. And I think that that is an easy sort of trick into getting you into a leadership position that you can also hide from someone else, so that they, yeah, yeah. And I think maybe the more that you do that, yeah, the easier it will be to just sort of step into that space. It can infiltrate the rest of your life as well.
In
Yeah.
what, like,
So,
I'm trying to think. I was like, my mind went to a couple of different scenarios when I was playing that out in my head. Like, you're,
yeah.
I don't know, for the most a generic one is just like you're on a date with someone, you go to a restaurant, it's just like, I've scheduled at 9:15 for them to sing Happy Birthday, even though it's not their birthday. Or
I would say, like, always go to the restaurant that you feel comfortable with, that the staff are not going to give you shit for always bringing your dates there. Always sit in the same spot. Like, always
third
get
time
there
the
like
swinger.
earlier. Yeah. And then you just have less things to process. You have less like new visuals, less new shit to read, new like people to navigate. And so you can kind of focus on what is the new element, which is the person in front of you. Yeah. And not everybody can just let all of that dropping away. I think also this is a very long practice. I think meditation can also help you just zoom in on what you actually want to focus in on. But I think if we're just going to trick ourselves that that is a way, you don't have to do stupid happy birthday stunt, which could be funny actually, and it could throw them off, which is up to you if you want to use that kind of tactic.
It's not birthday. I just wanted the free dessert they give you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which is cute, which I think is cute personally. Yeah.
There you go.
But,
Free birthday cake.
some people might not.
Celebrating first day is not a thing with restaurants, but a birthday is.
Well, speaking about celebrating things, I might slide in and promote one of our amazing sponsors. So we're thankfully sponsored by the gorgeous Flirt Adult Store. So they give our customers 20% off at the checkout. Is it 20?
15%.
There we go. I was like, I feel like that's wrong. So they give our customers 15% off at the checkout. If you type in the word secret15 at the coupon section, you'll get the full order of 15% off and sent directly to you. We actually always have all the products inside of our beautiful club, and all the prizes we give out are all from Float as well. Talking about toys, let's stay on the toy topic because fuck it, my brain's on toy topic. What is your favorite toys or instruments to use in sessions?
I was gonna say brain first, but that's
Yeah, we can use our brain. That's allowed.
it's a difficult one to explain. I think hands are deeply understood as instruments. Yeah. I think that there's just so much more that you can do with the tactility of the end of a nail against somebody's forehead.
Ooh.
I always think of a heel. My brain goes straight
Yeah,
heel
but
on a
it's
head.
well, heels are also great tools, but I guess for me, there's just so much that lives in my hands that can communicate through my hands. And I mean, you can kind of do that through anything, like how much pressure you're even just putting on the edge of a handle of a flogger. You don't have to use the actual flogger itself, right? So it's about your relationship to a tool and how you use it as expressing yourself in the subtle to the not so subtle rather than the tool itself, I think is how I see it. Was that kind of
Yeah.
going around your question a little bit too much? But if I had to say actual objects, I am a heavy bondage person for
Mm.
sure. So we're talking very heavy leather, like encasement, isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
the good stuff.
that's for me.
You've tickled Lawrence's interest. Lawrence is probably, would you say you'd be more on the heavier bondage style?
No, like the isolation thing is like that's more like psychological
Ah,
punishment, torture, right? That's more. That's
I love some isolation from my kid. Is that a kink?
from what I'm picking up.
At the moment, and for a while now, long-term imprisonment has been my main focus.
Okay, let's
okay.
talk about this.
Long-term imprisonment. Please tell me more. Like, I can picture it.
So when you said you've worked around the world, did any of those places start with a Guantanamo and end in Bay?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
So tell us a
But
bit
I
more. Like,
definitely,
yeah, like I want to know more about this because I think what I'm picturing is.
Don't picture it. I want to hear it. Let's
Okay,
go.
done.
Go.
Tell me more. Fill me up.
we can compare pictures after.
Done.
Yeah, for me, I'm not exactly sure how I first discovered that I liked throwing somebody into a jail cell. Maybe it's just, you start to see these cages and then you see like a life-size one every now and then in different places. And then you keep people there overnight and it starts to grow in your mind that if you keep them there for many days, there's a lot of mind fucking that can happen.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of challenge for me in order to create that. I guess a very quick and fast session can be really fun for sure, but I think the prolonged, like psychological play is kind of more entertaining for me sometimes. And
Yeah.
what that can look like is yes, they're locked in a cell, it could be underground. I love having a camera on them so that they have an understanding that they're not actually alone.
Yeah. They're forever
Even if I'm not
watched.
always watching it. Yeah. And then I also like having multi-prisoners so that I can play people off of each other.
Oh my God. I would never have thought of that. I'm so intrigued now. Where
Wait,
are
wait,
you
wait.
finding these
Yeah.
spaces?
Spaces. I was going to say, where are you finding the people? That was my. Well, we can talk about all of this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So where would you find a
Eastern
space like
Europe.
this? Eastern Europe. Okay, that's easy.
There's definitely prison facilities almost everywhere, but the most,
Would you say prison facilities available for hire? As in, like you can. Hey, I'm looking for a jail cell Airbnb style. Like I need it for these dates.
yeah, no, you have proper facilities with like 12 cells and like little toilets inside of each cell, and then a quarters for that are more luxurious for the non-prison guests.
Yeah.
You have isolation chambers, like huge setups. Yeah. And who's interested? Many people. It's whether they have the budget for it.
Yeah, I bet.
That's even more like wild because like who's got the time to be voluntarily isolated like that and then to
like a
pay for the
holiday for
privilege on top.
I guess you make the time for things that you feel drawn towards in
Yeah.
some way. And you can save, or there are people who dedicate their money to their pleasures.
Yes, findoms, they're wonderful.
Wow. So what's the process of do you do a psychological screening before you're going to put someone in isolation like that? Because from what I understand, solitary confinement is the most, psychologically painful thing you can do to someone over an extended period of time.
Yeah, I think if it were to be no end point, I think that it would be far more dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah.
But everybody understands there's either a 24-hour cutoff or like a 4-day cutoff.
Yeah.
And I haven't played in a way where there is no kill switch, as in like they can't opt out yet. There's always an emergency button and then they're out,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I think that it's not that extreme yet.
Yet is very important.
And with some of these people, like you obviously don't have to go into detail, but are you finding it's more preference towards men coming to you or women, or are you getting both? Just being like obviously a female dominatrix, are you finding then men are more attracted to that service with you, or do you just get them all?
When it comes to the extended prison scenarios, I've only really had men interested, but in terms of sessions, it's really everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
So,
Do you work with universities,
yeah.
Eva? Because I'm sure they'd love to have access to the sort of things you're doing to people psychologically that they can't get through on the when psych studies need a board approval, like this is not ethical because you can't get people to agree, and you go, actually, I have all these people agreeing. Do you want the data? Would be fascinating.
I actually do talk to a lot of people doing their PhDs and papers and things like this. I
Yeah.
give them my data freely. I talk to as many people as I possibly can. Like I
Yeah.
said, spreading the
Yeah.
kink gospel.
God, it's
Okay.
so interesting.
That's the way to do it. Like the U.S. military in Guantanamo Bay. It's just like, well, hire private contractors, then it's not really us. So
See,
you're
this is how you make science sexy.
that's
Just
yeah.
saying.
So I know you've like I think I've stumbled into now what my kinks are. It's just like, can we talk data and sex? Like then I'm really excited.
Data and sex.
Yeah.
Let's look at those pie graphs.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There's a lot of very nerdy, kinky people out there.
Yeah.
What would you say, like, is becoming your most frequently requested session? Or what has been your most frequently requested session?
I mean, maybe times have changed because when I did work much more frequently with different people, it was back in Sydney and it was just randoms off the street basically. And back then it was feet, top, and then probably anal, and then probably golden showers. Those were the top three. And then a little bit of bondage, like light bondage is sort of thrown in around there. I wouldn't say heavy bondage was a popular thing, but this was 15 years ago.
What was the second one? Feet. There was feet, anal, but was something in between.
Anal?
Yeah.
No. Feet, anal, golden showers.
Oh, feet,
Yeah.
anal, golden shower. Sorry. I thought you said like pulp, and I was like, what's pulp?
New terms. Wow.
Yeah, but these days, because I guess there's so many interviews of me online, there's so much of an awareness of how my brain works. A lot of people come to me hoping to connect with my mind, my personality. They want to have longer relationships. So I have a lot of people who are interested in the femdom lifestyle more than anything. They obviously have their kinks, but their main focus is to find somebody who they can invest in this way.
Yeah, into their fantasy and desire.
So when did you start moving more from practitioner to a mentor? And, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, I think I've only become comfortable with that mentor word recently, even though I have been doing calls and trying to help for a while. Like I did mention that people have been asking me about how I do things for maybe the last 10 years. And I just sort of leaned into leaned into it and just responded to it and let that grow from like an email to a document to calls to now this platform. It's just been a role that has grown around me and that I maybe just stepped into comfortably recently. Yeah, I think it comes from I don't want to see people struggle non-consensually. Yeah, it is quite painful for me to see that happen, and I understand deeply how difficult my position is in the world and my journey to get even here, and I just don't wish that for anybody. And I guess the more that I can sustainably contribute to that, the more that I will.
Yeah. crazy.
That's how you get an Order of Australia medal. You know, you're community orientated and you give back. So, they should be applied to everyone. Yeah, it's like that's gonna be a thing. We should get that on the ballot sheet of political agenda. It's just like
Oh God.
AOMs go to like sex workers too, you know, because they're spreading the good word.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of great sex workers who are doing wonderful work with organizations and activism, and this is just my little way, I guess. I don't know if I have the wherewithal to deal with politics and
Mm.
legislation, but I am very happy to speak from the heart about what I do
Yeah.
to other people's hearts, ideally.
On politics and legislation, I've got a couple of things. Is like, you know, the
Mm.
differences you faced around the world and the different stigmas. So on stigma, I'm just going to do a quick shout out for Stigma Health, who's one of our other sponsor. So Stigma Health does sexual health screening, referrals for sexual health screening. So you can just go online, fill out the questionnaire, get your sexual health screening, take it to a pathology lab, get your tests done, and in a few days you get your results back. You can multi-buy things for people, multi-buy referrals. So if you're in the E&M community or anything like that, you can stock up. And if you use coupon code SECRETSPOT20, SECRETSPOT20, you get 20% off the order. That aside, thank you,
That was
Stigma.
a nice mouthful.
That aside, how have you found it around the world? Because you said earlier you've worked
All around
lots of places around the world, and the differences that you are there any differences, or is it there are some universalities in the things that you see, or it's, you know, maybe the legislation in one country really impacts the people's desires or cultural differences, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that there's a very obvious commonality between everybody in that it's really an outlier that doesn't want to feel understood and to be in connection with somebody else. I think that that's probably the core of what I see everywhere, whether it's through multi-day imprisonment or just a moment in time, you know, with touch or something. I think that that's the commonality, but that is deeply limited, thwarted, opened, depending on the society that holds that individual. And I don't know if I would be half of who I am if it were not for the fact that sex work is decriminalized in Sydney and that I'm Australian. I get to have had that liberty and that freedom to take that chance in an environment that could protect me. I don't think I would have Googled the word in another country, to be frank.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have found the dungeon for sure. And I wouldn't have been able to train or do my taxes or,
Yeah.
you know, feel like I could go to the authorities and be taken at least somewhat seriously.
Yeah.
Whereas I look at my American friends and they have to do everything in the shadows, and the constant fear that they live under turns them into, I guess we see this either radicalized, deeply fearful people or just completely like cut off in fear of retribution,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's just, and then you see people like where I'm originally from in Malaysia who just cannot comprehend that there's even an option, and so live almost in an infantile state of self-discovery for their entire life.
Yeah.
So it really depends, I think, um, what a society is ready for, and the risk and the safety before its citizens can express or even understand who they are.
Yeah. Is there any country that you absolutely feel at home other than Australia? We'll say Australia is always home. That you feel at home being your true self? Like, is it maybe like the UK or something like that where you can just comfortably walk into those shoes without feeling stigmatized or have any sort of brunt back on it?
I guess coming from quite a mixed background and growing up in a lot of different places, there's different parts of me that feel comfortable in different places.
Mm.
I am back in Southeast Asia because in my day-to-day life, I actually prefer the quiet ways of connecting, the small, like gentle ways of existing. It's very calming for me to be in
Mm.
Southeast Asian culture and the systems of how we respect each other and operate. And I think it can be very oppressive long term to live with that hierarchy, but because I guess I grew up here mostly, I feel very comfortable and it's just better for my nervous system on a daily level. Whereas walking around London and how people kind of demand, or maybe America more specifically, demand interaction in quite an intense way, I find it completely draining. Like
Yeah.
I can't handle it. But that said, the liberation of being able to be extroverted when I choose to is wonderful. To be able to go to a kink event and see 1,000 other people who are dressed similarly, who are interested in similar things,
Yeah.
that I don't have to hide that aspect. I really enjoy that. So it depends what it is that I feel like I'm lacking at the time,
Yeah.
I think.
A true vagabond.
Yeah. And I'm lucky. I'm really lucky that I have that option
Yeah.
also, where I can just like pick up and go, I'm missing this, I need to get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. And do you have any on kink events? Is there any sort of kink events that you crave to go to all the time? Like you just thrive or you enjoy? Like in Australia, we don't have such a wide range of them. We have a little bit, and if you dig deeper, you can find some. But obviously, overseas, there's so many big ones. Like there's the balls and stuff that you go to. Is there any that you absolutely thrive and adore going to?
Alcatraz gets
I mean,
kinky.
I've been, sorry.
Alcatraz gets kinky yearly event.
Oh, I would love that.
There you go.
But I've been to a party in that exact room that you're sitting in.
Yeah.
Yes, you have been here. It was literally the
I
one
whipped
time I was
somebody.
not here and you were inside our venue, and I was like, good God, this
Yeah.
always happens.
I whipped somebody right where you are sitting.
Yes, I did hear about that because I think we had the cross here from memory at the time.
If you
Yeah.
listen faintly, you
Correct,
can hear the whimpers of orgasms past.
The whimpers of orgasm.
What am I craving? At the moment, I'm a little bit evented out from living in London, which was such fun. Like I did go to those huge balls and for me, the small play parties around 15 of your closest friends are the most chaotic and therefore the most fun for me.
Yeah,
Also because I'm mostly friends with professionals, and so nobody has to really look out for each other. Everybody can just exist,
yeah,
and one time somebody passed out from a really heavy whipping and immediately everybody knew exactly what to do and nobody panicked. So it's,
yeah,
I guess that feeling of those smaller parties is what I like. But at the moment, I've kind of reached a little bit of a maximum, and I think that's why I've also moved back to Southeast Asia. I just want to like calm and type.
yeah,
I'm writing a few things at the moment, including a new podcast.
yeah,
So it's my time to sort of go in. And I have these waves also.
yeah.
But my heart is probably going to be most consistently in the chaotic smaller gatherings between very kinky people.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Nice.
Aw. Well, let's play a little game that the gorgeous
Okay.
Gabe has created. Just the tip. I have no freaking idea what we're playing.
So this game is called Power Play, Fantasy or Boundaries. So Jess, Lawrence, pick out your phones and go to the document I've sent you in Teams, where there are some scenarios, Eva, that they're going to read out one at a time. And you just have to tell us whether you think this would be something you would explore, or you'd set it as a hard boundary, and you can elaborate
me.
why. Yes, yourself, Eva, yes. If that's okay. If you don't feel
Okay.
comfortable answering to any of
Fantasy
these, feel free
or
to
Yeah,
say
so
no.
it's either fantasy or boundary. Wait, a hard boundary. Okay. So number 1, being blindfolded and fully guided by your partner.
This is me or this is doing to somebody else?
Doing to someone else. So you are blindfolding somebody and fully guiding being their partner.
This is reality.
I love that. Fuck fuck fantasy. It's straight into reality. I agree.
I know. And then are we doing the inverse as well?
I'm sorry, inverse. Oh wait, to us? What do you mean inverse?
I don't know.
I know you like blindfolding, and I'm all for blindfolding.
What about the other way around, Eva? Is there something on the flip that you would consider?
Would you ever allow a partner to blindfold you?
My partners probably no, but my friends, sure. You know, like though I often have submissive partners, and I don't know if they would know exactly what to do. Whereas at parties, I bottom quite a bit, and usually to my pro friends. So it would be with people who I trust in.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Fine.
I feel like this is a
Yeah.
The next one is calling. Oh, you calling your partner or play friend sir or ma'am in the bedroom. I feel like we know the answer.
Wait, what do you like to be called in the bedroom is a better question. What is your terminology that you like to be called in the bedroom? Because I assume having your work life and then your personal life, you get called something different, or are they combined?
No, they're pretty combined, but I always choose something that I see the other person responding heavily to. I don't necessarily need a certain term. I just want to see them get in a zone, and I've noticed by that point what words do that, and I'll make them use that. Yeah.
So have people called you sir before and you're like, yes, I am your sir?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, they have actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think I've had a few dominatrix friends be like, I wear my military outfit sometimes and people just can't get out of their head, sir. And you're like, you like kind of reek from that. You're like, yes.
They call you daddy then? They're like, yes, daddy. Like, oh, God.
I like getting called daddy.
Yeah.
I play off being called daddy because I've like people say mummy and I'm like, please don't say that. That's weird.
But me saying that to somebody else, I mean, I think everybody would laugh.
It's so hard to say it with a straight face. You'd be like, yes, ma'am.
I'd say it, but it'd probably be very campy. It would come out pretty campy.
All right, Eva. Fantasy or boundary, you being put into a cell for a night?
Again, if it was with like somebody who I respected and trusted their ability in, I'd totally be open to it.
Okay.
I like that. I think also a really good dominatrix always knows what the feelings are when they give out, I guess, the punishments or the service. It's how do you give a service if you don't know how that service feels being reflected back? Not that you have to experience it, but you should at least be educated on it. In some
I think it's a fun way to get educated.
Yeah. Oh
I used to hire doms when I first started. It was fun.
Teach me.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I do. I like that. Wait, was this in Sydney? You hired a dom?
No, it was in Germany.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I feel like that's the place to go. It's like, I don't know.
Okay, so giving up full control for one night, is that a fantasy or a boundary for you?
I would, and these answers of mine are far too long. It doesn't suit the game. Sorry, Gabe.
No, it's good.
For me, I would say I don't ever feel out of control.
Yeah.
Even if I were to hand that role to somebody, I would never feel out of control. So I don't know if it's possible.
I mean, that's
that's how you were saying, like even what's the business? Have that element of control, whereas they can, pop the emergency button and then that's it, right? They've still got that element of power. They retain that at all times, right? So yeah, it's not like this is no, like there's no safe word, there's no nothing. It ends when I say it ends is a completely different kettle of fish, I suppose, right?
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've met somebody with enough of a mental capacity for that, or who I trust to have that kind of capacity yet. I would love it, but I am very careful, and I don't think I've met that person yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot to take on. I even just thinking about that was draining my brain.
Last one?
Yes. I was like, oh my God, how do I compact that into one thing? Okay, I know this is like really off topic, but introducing a third person. So would that be something that of a fantasy for you or a boundary?
Reality.
I love that. It's reality.
Being the third person, having the third person, torturing the third person, whatever you do.
Surprising with a third person.
Yeah, calling the third person third person.
Do the surprising of the third person being like, oh, okay, now that you're tied up, I'm going to fuck that person. Have fun. I don't know. My little brain's gone into that little rat mode where I'm like, ooh, what can I do? It's on a spinning wheel trying to think up all these like clever ideas to torture somebody nicely.
Is this where Eva just goes, bring out the gimp? And they're like,
Gimp, they're so difficult. Thank you so much for coming on and exploring some of our crazy and intriguing ideas, and it really helping us understand there's more to a cage. I'm actually going to go into like my little...
That is something legit that I just hadn't considered or thought of before.
Yeah.
Long-term imprisonment for days. I'm like, holy shit.
It's so tittillating because it's such a mind fuck. I don't have the capacity for it because I'm too ADHD. I'm like, pew! But
you have a huge schedule. Like I tend to have a schedule. Not that I'm sharing it with anybody.
yeah.
But like when I'll be going in and what are we doing to whom. I don't want to give all my secrets away, but then I'll have like somebody who maybe reacts in a certain way so that we get something out of somebody else. So it's like a little orchestra.
Wow.
Yeah, there's so much detail that goes into things. It's insane. I love it. It's good.
You should live stream these and like on your Patreon. You probably
does.
make fucking bank. I think I would watch that. I'd be like, fucking hell, what's happening now?
Yeah, now I've lost Lawrence from work and he's
Sing
now
like a bird, you little bitch.
I think it's a different site, but yeah.
Oh my God. But do tell our audience where they can find you. Drop any of your handles that you want them to come reach out to.
Yeah, you can just Google me. You'll find me. Eva O. EVAOH. I'm in most places under the username. You will please me.
Yes, that is your Instagram. I do like it. I've always loved your Instagram. Sometimes it's something will come up on my little page and I'm like, oh, I have to repost that. I love that.
I always read it whenever I see it as I emphasize the will. You will please me.
God. Well, yes, that's very true. And Lawrence, you want to drop our handles for us?
All right. Thank you very much, Eva, for joining us. We do have a quick couple of announcements before we close out. We have our new Patreon. So we're now in the Patreon world too, where we have our extra spicy, dirty content, including raunchy recaps of all the... Recaps. We could do recaps, you know. Maybe some people are into brown showers.
That's a different Patreon.
No,
altogether.
Boo. Anyway, so we want to make special thanks to our spicy members, David G, Ben P, and Ryan, and to all our naughty members. You're on screen now. And let us know what you thought about today's episode. You can leave us a message on the podcast platform you're listening to. Send us a DM on socials or send us a voice message. If you want to make any special shout out to Eva, you can get in touch with her there.
Yes, and that's pretty much all that we can possibly ramble on about today.
Don't forget to spank the subscribe button.
But stay sexy, guys, and we'll see you at the club.
Not at all awkward. Bye, everyone. It's like...
Bye, guys.